some underground parking. And let's start off on the ground floor, where you actually have an entrance for the parking, for the trash, which again, as Mr. Brogan said, will be wheeled out. Refuse is right near the entrance. On the ground floor, we have a management office and 2 apartments. And then some utility things, some storage for some bike racks. And on the ground floor, we also have, check this, make sure I get it right. Number of parking spaces actually that I'm looking for right now. Looks like we've got 16 on the first level. I'll back off and take you down to the lower level, which again brings us and makes up the entire 38 spaces on the lower level. Again, we have a utility area down there and some storage. Moving on to the first floor, you can see here, actually this is probably a good diagram of how the garage extends beyond the upper levels, and then you have a relatively low building at that point, and the rest of the building has a more substantial setback throughout. Our first floor is a little over 10,000 square feet, and we have apartment uses on the first floor. We have studios, then we have 3 one-bedrooms, 4 two-bedrooms, totaling 14 on that floor. Moving on to the second floor, it's the same size as the first floor. The apartment arrangement's just slightly different. We have 7 studios. Sorry?
We already have a ground floor. It would be the,
I'm sorry. Third floor. Yes, I'm sorry. And again, it's similar to the second floor. It's in terms of size. The arrangement is just slightly different. We've got 10 studios, 5 two-bedrooms, totaling 15 units there. And again, the grand total for the units, we have 19 studios, 3 one-bedroom units, and 9 two-bedroom units, totaling 31 units. The occupancy for the building is a grand total of 80, loading up for 2 occupants at the one-bedroom studios, 4 for the 2 bedrooms, and then and 3 for the 3 bedrooms. The building itself is neoclassical in nature. We've got basically the main facades have brick on the main facades, with again precast horizontal members to define and scale the building. We have a large cornice at the top with some wrought iron railings, and right along the street we actually have some great piers with some wrought iron railings and some gates, some arched gateways. The sides of the building will be hardy board, cement plank, and again scaled with the cornices and with the horizontal boards. Rest of the elevations, I guess you can get an idea from the side elevation, which you can see here, sort of how that all fits into the scheme.
Just so we understand, when I look at the rear elevation, you're indicating that first floor, which is the parking floor.
That's
What is the?
That's brick.
That's brick.
That's brick.
The height of that?
The height of that varies from about over here. It's 9 feet at this point. It's probably someplace in the neighborhood over here, about 4 or 5 feet.
So in the rear, as you get close to the rear yard, it's about 9 feet.
Yeah.
And I believe the correcting record, you made a reference to 3 bed, parallel 3 bed.
No, I'm sorry. That's on a different project.
That's right. I have further questions from Mr. Seahawks. testimony, Mr. Sneed?
Absolutely.
Raise your right hand, state your name for the right hand, please.
Steve Hughes, H-U-G-H-E-S.
What do you have?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes, you are a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
And again, Mr. Hughes, you testified here about those plans. And you are here this evening to provide professional planning testimony in support of the variances, the E and the bulk variances, if you will,
Correct.
and the parking. If you could just give us a general overview of how you approach doing this, and then you can go through your analysis of both the D and the C variances to provide, hopefully, your support.
Sure, sure. Well, the work essentially entails, reviewing the site plan, meeting with the applicant, and of course reviewing the city's zoning and master plan and other policy documents. I would point out that I was involved with the initial application, and certainly from a planning perspective, I believe that what we're proposing this evening is an improvement in almost every aspect. Certainly with respect to parking, we're increasing the number of parking spaces, but I think also the fact that we're able to now enclose the parking and to add another below grade story is a significant benefit to the project. There's now an on-site management office in this building. We have enclosed bicycle storage. I think just in general, there's really an attempt here to take advantage of this larger site. And just in terms of use variance, because we do need a use variance because this is a privately developed student housing project in the I-1 zone. There's still clearly a recognized need for this type of use in this area. And moreover, the suitability of the site, it's particularly suited, and I think that's actually been enhanced since the approval in December of 2011 for a couple of reasons. The first being the adoption of the College Avenue redevelopment plan, which has really solidified this area as a location for not only student housing, but also a lot of amenities that are very much university oriented. Mr. Kelso mentioned some improvements to make this more of a transportation hub. I know certainly some of the bicycle and other pedestrian-oriented improvements that are contemplated for College Avenue make this an excellent location for student housing. And then secondly, the planning board has adopted a master plan reexamination report, which really focused on the need for student housing and provided a little guidance about what would be appropriate for this type of use. And actually what we're proposing here this evening is very much consistent with that framework. This project is within a 5-minute walk of the Rutgers Student Center. It is approximately 14,600 square feet, which is about the size of site that the master plan put forth as a sizable site to encourage a critical mass student housing development. In terms of bedroom density, we're about 250 square feet here, whereas the master plan recommended something in the range of 200 to 500 square feet. And finally, with respect to parking, I know it was mentioned earlier, but the one-to-one standard spaces to units is something that we're actually exceeding here, and that was also put forth in the reexamination report. So I believe for all of those reasons, this particular project, in terms of the use variance, could be justified, and that it advances purposes A, E, and G of the municipal land use law. Clearly, this is a much needed type of use, and we're doing it in a very appropriate location. In terms of the negative criteria for the use variance, certainly from a land use perspective, I noted that this is very much already a student housing locale, and it's going to be even more so in the future. The fact that it would be permitted, but for the fact that it's privately developed, is supportive of that, in fact. And then also, we can reconcile the use variance here just due to the fact that the master plan reexamination report was just adopted about a year ago. Now we are also requesting a height variance, which is actually a C variance, and it's a 3-story building, which is very consistent with other similarly developed private student housing developments in this area. Certainly the fact that we're anticipating, as Mr. Kelso mentioned, the context with the College Avenue redevelopment plan, in the future we'll have, buildings transitioning from 4 stories all the way up to 15 stories across the street. So certainly 3 stories is suitable for this area. I don't see any detrimental impacts being created around in terms of surrounding properties. As typical in many of these projects, we are requesting a FAR variance, and there's building and impervious coverage variances, which we can sort of treat as a whole. As I mentioned, this is within the master plan reexamination report's density guidelines for this type of development. We do meet the side and front yard variance requests, so I believe that those variances are very much justified in this regard. There is the rear yard variance issue, which was discussed by both of the prior witnesses. Again, just to reiterate, the location of the 1.2-foot variance is along this frontage here with the windowless utility garage on the adjacent property to the east, and the variance for 5.8 feet in the rear yard is here along this frontage. And I think really this can be justified on a C2 basis, and that the benefits clearly outweigh the detriments. But I would say that there is somewhat of a hardship aspect to this, because I think the ability to provide the enclosed parking and the need for a ramp in this location really necessitates the use of this area here, which forces us to request the variance to 1.2 feet. Clearly the benefits of providing enclosed parking there outweighing detriments, and that really not impacting the adjoining property owners. It's a windowless, basically utility shed in that location. And moreover, as was pointed out by the architect, both in this location and within the rear yard, there is some relief, because on the 2nd story and the 3rd story, there's no building there. It's substantially set back. So in terms of light and air, there is more space in those locations.